Hello, everyone. Perfect. Hi, welcome. Hi Juan. Hello, Woodside Story. Welcome. Hello. So we're going to start today's live stream a little different. So let me just check here. Yeah, we are going to start today a little bit differently because, as you can see, we are decked out in red because it's the end of February, and Shelly wants to serenade you all with a special song that reflects the holiday we had, which was Valentine's Day in the middle of the month. So it's a little after the fact, but Shelly is so excited to serenade all of you with a little special something. So here we go. it. It is La Vie en Rose. Yeah, original French lyrics by Edith Piaf. Yes, 'tis the season. So, yes, just a little something fun to start the stream with, a little serenade from Cello to wrap up February. So, welcome to our live stream. So today we are going to talk about questions you all might have regarding music stuff, practicing stuff, cello stuff, whatever it is you would like, and we'll go from there. So yeah, just a little, I gotta spice things up. We've been doing these streams for a minute, so yeah, gotta do something different. Great. Checking. Yeah, we all look good. And thank you all so much for tuning in. I always look forward to these end of the month streams. I think they're so fun. And we get to all hang out and listen to some cello and talk about cello stuff and nerd out, which is my favorite thing to do, obviously. And yeah. Oh, great question. Juan goes, how goes electric shredding? Yeah, so V, which is my NS Design cello, he's doing really well. I got to walk around with V at the NAMM show, which was so fun. For those of you who don't know, that is a big networking event that takes place in California. And we had a lot of fun. It was a great time, and I got to try out a lot of gear with my electric cello. And still have some pending videos from that event that I hope to share. And so that was the most recent thing I did. And right now I'm in the process of working on an electric cello project that I hope to, I don't want to give myself a strict timeline, but definitely this year I want to produce something with electric cello that I can bring to venues and perform, or events. So that's something that's been ongoing. What NS model? Yeah, so Ned Steinberger Design, that's what NS Design stands for. And I have the NXTA model, and one big draw for that model, why I chose it, the battery is rechargeable. So yes, down the road I'm gonna have to replace the battery someday, but I don't have to carry around a bunch of batteries with me all the time. I can just plug it into the wall and it will charge that way, which is awesome. So yes, I really like that. The NXTA also comes in a really sleek black, which of course is the brand. Gotta have a black cello in there. But I really like how I can charge it and it'll be good to go. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Great questions. So now we're going to move on to YouTube. We have a question from YouTube. What's the best way to develop and practice vibrato in thumb position? Ah, yes. This is a very specific question. I think it's great. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to have to take off my cardigan just because I want you all to see what my arm is doing and mainly the rotation of what's going on. And so if I have my cardigan on, you can't really see that. It's also looking a little dark on YouTube, so we're going to turn up my little spotlight here. There we go. Okay. So now you'll be able to see what my arms are doing. So vibrato and thumb position, it's a great question. It is tricky. It is different. For those of you who might not know, what is thumb position and why is the vibrato tricky? Well, in regular cello, I shouldn't say regular. In the lower positions, what happens, our fingers are pretty perpendicular to the neck. You see how my hand is going this way, but in thumb position, our hand is vertical. So that's a pretty big difference, right? A vertical hand shape, changing that angle versus vibrato down here. So a lot of the exercises I recommend for just learning vibrato also work in thumb position. So you can start on, I like to call this the thumb position home base, where the thumb is on the harmonic. Okay, ooh. Motion where you can see from here my arm is coming up, down, up, down, up, down. And it might look like I'm doing this with the wrist, but I'm not. The main difference between that is if it's just my wrist, you kind of see how my it's going all the way down to my arm. If I just do, when I use my arm, my finger is able to lean back, forward, back, forward, back, forward. If it's just my wrist, you see how the finger doesn't really move a lot? So it's almost this motion. And again, it's tricky for me to just isolate the wrist because I'm so used to involving the whole arm. But it's this kind of motion. And that involves rotation down the forearm. So it's not just bopping the wrist up and down. And honestly, the biggest difference is how it sounds. So if it sounds, if you don't really hear the vibrato happening, or it sounds really, it sounds kind of buzzy and tight. You're able to get a wider and slower vibrato. So I would recommend really starting with slow vibrato first, and that's really going to allow you to feel the full range of motion. And again, if you're just using the wrist, you're not going to be able to vibrate super slowly, or you're not going to hear a wide wave. If you only use the wrist, it's woo, 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 woo. You can't have that loose oscillation of the pitch. So second finger. Oh, and here's another tip. Keep your thumb down when you practice vibrato. My thumb isn't weighed into the string. It's very light on the string, but I keep it there. OBS, it's really rude to interrupt my thumb position knowledge. Don't appreciate that. Although maybe on your end you guys don't see it, but on my end I see when it's screwing up. Okay, so I was saying you need to keep the thumb on the string. Like that kind of light quality. And that's gonna keep your form. If your thumb comes up, like the wrist is able to do a bunch of incorrect things. The thumb kind of keeps everything aligned, basically. So second finger. Keep the fingers behind down. Even with third finger, you could keep two behind if you'd like, but third finger, I think, has enough pad square footage that you can vibrate with just third finger. The other way I'm thinking about it, I mean, the other way to think about it too, yeah. So when we're doing vibrato down here, the arm is perpendicular, just like our fingers are. And you can see my whole arm moving. That feeling, so we're very perpendicular. When you're in thumb position, it's almost like that way. It's at an angle that your arm's rotating, kind of down towards the A string side of your cello. Hope that helps, but again, I would really start with slow vibrato, wide vibrato, and making sure you see movement in the forearm happening. And here's the thing, if you move the forearm, the wrist is gonna move. But some people get confused and think we're doing wrist vibrato, which isn't the case. So if you can get something really slow and wide, and your arm feels loose and comfortable, and your thumb is gently resting, you're on the right track. You're welcome. Another question from YouTube. What's the best way to break in a new cello? So for those of you who saw, I got a new gigging cello, which is very exciting. I posted a cryptic riddle, a musical riddle about the cello's name, and I named the cello Fox after the Phoenix from the Harry Potter movies. This cello has a beautiful red varnish that has some ombre in it. So it's a very pretty cello, but it sounds really good, which is, of course, the most important. And if it looks pretty, that's a second. Don't worry, Chelly. You look and sound pretty. Don't get jealous. Come on. Keep it professional for the live stream, Chelly. God. Diva. Little bit of a diva complex, this one. It's true, I'm sorry. But you're adored. And without Chelly, you can't have cello doll. So there you go. So here's the thing. When you get a new cello, there's a couple things to keep in mind. It's very likely it hasn't been played on for a minute. So you are... you're taking in an instrument that might be stiff. It hasn't been played on recently. Also, it might not have been, like, let's say it had a recent owner. That recent owner might have a different playing style than you. So this is kind of your chance to get your sound thumbprint on this cello. And it's a really cool phenomenon if you think about it, because the wood reacts in a way, you know, wood gets stiff. The wood carries vibrations through it. The way I play cello is going to send different vibrations compared to if I give my cello to a colleague and they play. The vibrational patterns are going to be totally different. So when you get a new instrument, really try to play on it as much as you can. And one thing I really like to do, I also do this when I try out cellos, is I really try to play things on the low end and the high end, because I want to get the full spectrum of the range and all those vibrations. So make sure you play things on the C string. The C string often gets neglected, which is sad. It's my favorite string is the C string. So make sure you play across all 4 strings pretty regularly, and like really spend some time with it. I know I'm with cello, but the other thing you should do to break in a new instrument, you really want to practice shifting, because every cello, yes, there's certain proportions and ratios when building a cello, but the intonation can be slightly different. So in addition to getting your sound and your style into the cello's memory, right? Like the physics of the wood, science, fancy. You want to practice some shifting. So really getting used to the intonation of a new cello. I always warm up with scales, and playing your scales really is going to help you adjust to the intonation of the cello. So you play the whole scale up and down. You're going to practice a lot of shifting. You're going to hear the intonation. You're going to play across 4 strings. So I do a lot of technical stuff on a new cello. And the other thing too is really do, I would do scales and forte, like a... If you play louder, that's gonna kind of jumpstart those vibrations that go through the wood and kind of wake up the cello. And that's something that really became apparent when I had to have multiple cellos. I know that sounds like a very privileged statement, and I understand it is. But when you get to a certain point as a professional, you do need to have multiple cellos. And I know this doll didn't ask, but I think it's important to talk about. If you have a cello and you don't play on it for weeks, the wood is going to get stiff and it's going to sound, the tone might not sound as full. It's going to sound kind of muffled, maybe a little muted. And the thing is, it's not a giant difference. Like your cello's gonna sound the same, but once you're around cellos for a long time, you start to hear the subtle differences of, ooh, cello sounds a little nasally. Well, that's because I've been practicing electric cello all week. So you have to get into this rhythm where you're regularly rotating your cellos. So it's a whole thing. There's a lot of stuff that we have to think about and go through that that isn't always captured when we share stories online. But why do we have multiple cellos? Why does someone have multiple cellos? I will tell you. Also, is that Mason? Mason, if any of you dolls need a conductor in Europe, Mason Lupert. Phenomenal conductor, and I know I'm really embarrassing him. I'm sorry, Mason. It's just so fun to see old friends pop up on live streams. And then they have the privilege of me embarrassing them online. But yeah, Mason Lubert. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Your last name's with a B, not a P. I don't know why I said that. Phenomenal conductor, Mason. Phenomenal conductor. Okay, we're talking about gigging instruments and why we are so extra and we have multiple cellos. So, so I'll give you an example. Currently where I perform, sometimes I have to play outdoors for a wedding. Sometimes I have, and by the way, have had it rain while I'm playing outdoors. Absolutely terrifying. -2 out of 10, would not recommend. So if it's raining, I don't want to have cello. I don't want to have my top tier cello. So water damage is really catastrophic and can be really expensive. So as you start getting a wider variety of gigs, I'll give you another example. Sometimes if you are playing, let's say in an opera pit or a musical pit, it is so crammed in there. You can be so careful. You are going to bonk your instrument at least once. The spaces are so crammed in opera pits and musical theater pits. Also, sometimes I just play in a venue and the backstage area is so crammed that there's not a lot of room to walk around, or there's people moving gear around you. So if you bring your most expensive instrument into these environments, it really has the potential to not go well. And your instrument can get injured, and it's not great. Instruments are expensive enough as it is. So we want to keep them healthy and in top tier shape. So that's why I have a gigging cello. It is not nearly as expensive as cello would be. And again, I treat all of my instruments with a high amount of respect and care, but it's just less, I don't want to, how do I say it? It's not as stressful knowing that, oh yeah, I'm outside and I'm going to be playing in direct sunlight for the next hour. I gotta tell you, when I was in college, my heart really goes out to like college students, because I remember when I was in college, you could barely afford to change your strings, let alone having multiple instruments was impossible. So when you had these gigs, you had to bring your instrument, right? And let me tell you this, someone might say, well, a college student can rent an instrument. They could rent a gigging cello. Well, first off, if it gets damaged, now you've damaged someone else's cello. Number two, by the time you pay the rental fee, you are barely getting any money from the gig to begin with, potentially. So it's a whole thing. It's really a whole thing. So yeah, it would be very stressful in college. I would just say, please don't let it rain today while I'm outside for this gig, or please let it be cloudy so there's no sun. It's a whole thing. It really is. So that's why having a gigging cello is pretty essential. Once you go through and you decide, I want to be a freelancer and I want to do everything. You can't always predict the environments you're bringing your instruments into. So yeah, it's a little bit. Awesome. Cool. So, what other questions? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? I would love to talk more. We could talk about anything. Gigging stuff, practicing stuff. I have a lot of horror stories. Someday those are going to be written down because they're something, I'll tell you. All right. Cool. I love that piece. Some of my students are working on it or have worked on it. Oh, I know what I can talk about. And then if I see a question, I will pivot. Well, I want to say it's a secret. Oh, wait. Ooh, this is a good one. How do you efficiently practice polyrhythm with a metronome? Dun, dun, dun. So let's talk about what a polyrhythm is. Multiple rhythms, if you want to break it down, with the, if we're going to break down the word into more parts, multiple rhythms. So I will give you all an example, a very common example of a polyrhythm. Not going to get too complicated, but there is a type of rhythm in classical music called a triplet. And it's when you have it's when you have 3 even notes inside of a unit. So let's say 4/4. Let's keep things easy. By the way, this is I love this metronome. I've used it since college. Intelli Metro Tuner, if you guys are curious. Because you can do this. Let's do 4 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm going to do, we're going to do triplets, 8th note triplets. And what that is, I'm going to fit 3 notes into one of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing it with my voice. That's step number 1. Speaking the rhythm is extremely helpful because you don't have to micromanage. What is my bow doing? Where do my fingers go? Am I running out of bow? Am I sliding up to the fingerboard? All these things you got to think about. You don't have to think about them if you're just using your voice. So, triplet, 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 triplet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Triplet, 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 triplet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, that's not, how do I say this? So I am fitting 3 triplets into 1 click. It's not quite a polyrhythm because it gets divided up pretty evenly. What we're going to do next is we're going to take that 8th note, we're going to make them quarter note triplets. So what's going to happen, instead of 3 in 1 click, we're going to do 3 in 2 clicks. Now we have an uneven amount. I guess 1 versus 3, someone might argue that's a polyrhythm, but the thing is, it's a cycle. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You get this back and forth, and you need multiple rotations for the beat to line up. Okay? So this is a very straightforward rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Polyrhythm, dot, 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 dot. You have this back and forth, and you'll hear it when I speak it. And again, step number 1 is to use your voice with the metronome. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So what you would need to do is a little bit of, sometimes doing some math helps. You need to understand how the polyrhythm you're trying to play relates to the beat of the metronome. I have another example. Hold on. So I gotta tell you, so that's kind of a 2 versus 3. I'm gonna show you all a secret tip that I use for a lot of modern music. So I'm gonna get a book. It's not a cello book. This is actually Williams. It is a trombone etude book. 15 rhythmic etudes by Marcel Bitsch, B-I-T-S-C-H. I'm probably not saying that right. So, let me see. Aha. Trying to find, there's an example that I used. Oh, okay. So, what I'm going to tell you, so basically, I'm kind of answering your question in reverse. So this is a piece that is going between, yeah, for those of you who are interested, this is what the book is. And because it's trombone, it translates really well into cello. It actually carries over pretty well because similar register. They're both bass clef instruments. So I have a piece here that goes from 2-4. It alternates between 2-4 and 3-8. 2 quarter notes per the measure versus 3/8 notes per the measure. And sometimes what you can do, and again, this is where math comes in, make the fractions have a common denominator. So 2-4, think of it like 4-8. You know, I really wish, I feel like for maybe in the future, I should have like a whiteboard behind me or something. If we're going to get like super educational classroom style. So we have 4-8 and 3-8. And I'm going to tell you, I keep my metronome on the quarter note. And where this really trains my rhythmic integrity is where the downbeat happens. Let me count it for you. It's not always, so we have 2-4. So I'm going to put my metronome on 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 3, 1 and 2 and 1. It's been a minute. So because here's the thing, in a piece like this, the 8th note has to stay the same. Because some people, I'm going to tell you, this is incorrect. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. The 8th note is getting stretched. You have to keep the 8th note the same. So sometimes in a case like this, don't look at the bar line. Do not look at the bar line. Sometimes I mark where the downbeats happen, where I'm going to hear that downbeat tone. Let me try to count this again. See, this is so beneficial, and we haven't even picked up the cello yet. 1 and 2 and 1, 2. Oh my God. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3 and 1. Shoot. I haven't done this in a minute, so I'm glad we're learning that we're doing this together. Let me do it a little slower. 1 and 2 and 1 and I know what I'm doing wrong. So I'm gonna do 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3. So speed it up a little bit. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's go a little faster. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3. Okay? And I really work on that. And again, this exercise works because every bar in this piece has the 8th note as the common factor. So I often do that, especially with modern music where you have a lot of time signature changes. And here's the thing, if the pulse stays the same, it ends up kind of feeling like a polyrhythm because you have 4/8 and 3/8, and that doesn't make 8/8. So the pulse isn't a super clean, even downbeat. I hope that helps. You really got to start with just doing it verbally. And then the next step, I would just work in small segments. Excuse me. I would work in small segments, maybe try to get 4 bars at a time. Or, again, you could go through and put vertical lines or circle some of the notes where you need to hear that higher pitch of when the cycle lines back up to the downbeat. I am doing the best I can to explain this without a whiteboard, y'all. So I hope some of that helps. But again, you gotta do it verbally. So let me try to play some of this trombone piece. Here we go. Oh boy. As the trombonist, somewhere William is cackling about this. And again, this is still very much under tempo. So it's a cool piece because you can kind of feel the pulse moving around. Oh, and you know what? There is some 3/4 in here, isn't there? We're going to put the metronome on 3. Maybe not this fast. Okay. So let's take a segment here. Whoops, C sharp. So do you hear how I land on the higher click? That's technically a beat too, but it doesn't matter. Like really finding some place in the music to meet up with the metronome is super important because You might play a whole line and realize you're off. You got to pick somewhere in the music, got to do some math, figure out where the click will line up, and make it steady and comfortable before you move on. So that's on a D, also known as Re. So we're going to go onward. Okay, I got to check that because I'm not quite sure. Dun da da da, dun dun da 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 da. Ah, okay. So this is kind of a polyrhythm. I jumped one of my rests. So right there in the first pattern, we had offbeats. But when that comes back again, because we have an odd number of eighth notes, it's on the beat when it comes back again. So again, you have to spend some time with the score. You have to see when a note lines up with the click, especially when it's in a place you don't expect. You have to kind of drill that a couple times, get comfortable with it. And again, you can also sing the rhythms and the piece verbally. And I know it sounds like a slow process, but this is really, 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 really how I learned a lot of extremely rhythmically challenging avant-garde music, is really sitting, doing a lot of math. So I'll give you an example. If you have a piece that's 4/4, these are like adjacent bars happening. If you have a 4/4, 2/4, 3/8, 6/8, 15/16, 4/4. How are you going to count that with a metronome? It's better to keep the beat in one place and see where the music lines up to that beat. Okay? That's especially if you don't have a conductor. A conductor can really help. Good luck to that conductor, because that's a really hard thing to do. But if you can keep the pulse constant and figure out the math of where that crazy music lines up, it's going to make your rhythmic integrity so much more solid. And I call it crazy, but honestly, I love that kind of music because so much music we play is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It gets kind of predictable. It's beautiful, but when you have these polyrhythms and different bars going around and switching at seemingly random places, you get these really cool grooves and just these types of momentum. There's this momentum that isn't predictable. It's not a count of 4, right? You get odd numbers and cool stuff. So like 1, 2, 1, 1. Sometimes you get 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get all these cool mix matching beats. Give us a little spice. Give us a little spice here and there. Okay. But yeah, whenever I want to really rhythmically floss my brain, I pull out this rhythmic etude book. Yeah, that's a good question. Verbally, so start with verbal and then keep the pulse the same. Don't change your metronome just because there's a time signature change. And it's really tempting, and it's okay to do at first, but if you can play through the whole thing without changing the metronome, you're going to be so rhythmically solid. So I hope that makes sense. If you have 4/4 and then a 3/4 section, don't put your metronome on 3/4. Keep it on 4/4 and really stick to it. Because in the performance, you can't go, wait, everyone, I got to change time signatures. You can't do that. Can't do that in a performance. So the other thing you can do, final tip, I promise, is you hear how I have 1, 2, 3. You can just put it on one tone. If the multiple pitches, sometimes that can be confusing, so you can put it on just one tone. Yay! Also, I have not been hydrating today, so I'm parched. I got this for Christmas, and it has my logo on the bottle. You can put things like images or logos. This is by Arctic, RTIC. Not an ad, I just really like the color and the ability to customize it. So every time I take a sip, if I'm at the gym or out and about, I'm advertising my brand. But it's something I've been thinking about. We need some new merch, guys. Don't worry. I have plans you all don't know about yet. Maybe we'll have water bottles as part of our merch. But get excited. You will see. You will see soon. Okay. Sweet. We probably have time for... Someone wrote, I request a fanny pack. You know what? In the gym, I'm going to be honest with y'all. Some intimate cello doll knowledge. I wear a fanny pack at the gym. I wear a fanny pack at the gym, and when I hike, I rock my fanny pack game, okay? Because a purse is dangly, right? And I don't want to deal with anything that dangles or anything I have to hold or keep like pushing up my shoulder if I'm hiking or working out. I just strap it to my body. No shame in using a fanny pack. I use one. Okay. Sweet. Yeah, maybe we'll do some cello doll water bottles in the next round of merch. That'd be really fun. We're really overdue for some merch, everyone. In my free time, twitching eye, we'll figure out some merch. Sweet. Okay, we have time for one more question, or I can tell you all about my favorite tips for fast playing. When it comes to certain cello techniques, a lot of people want shortcuts. There's no shortcuts. Trust me, I have looked for them all the time. There's no shortcuts, but what there is, there's incorrect and correct ways to practice. And the more you practice incorrectly, the longer it takes. But I talk about this a lot with my students. So I'm actually working on the Shostakovich concerto. I'm probably going to end up working on it through March because February and March is pretty busy. Is this the best example? I don't know if it is. Might not be the best example actually for what I want to demonstrate. We're going to do Brahms. Let's do some Brahms Sonata. Let me see. So I'm talking about when you are watching somebody on YouTube or in a concert hall and they're playing something that is fast, clear, crisp. Sometimes it's loud and intense. It looks like the bow is bouncing, and I promise you, if it is a fast piece, the bow is not bouncing. What is happening is the stick of the bow is bouncing, and that is kind of what gives it a little bit of a percussive edge. So whenever you have a really fast piece of music, and I did not believe it until I trusted the process myself, you need to start legato. You need to start practicing things legato, and this is because you are training your weight to be really heavy and going right into the core of the string. So if I was working on, I'm going to do some C string stuff, because the thicker the string, the harder it is. Nope. But it's going to sound damn good when it's fast. Okay? So that's the first step. You want to make sure your shoulder's unhinged. You want to make sure, because you don't want this. You can hear a big difference at the end of each bow. So right before I change the string, if my elbow's high, it sounds kind of fuzzy. If my elbow's low and cozy, the bow change is seamless and you don't hear any extraneous noise. So again, I could play like this. Well, I wouldn't choose to, but if I had to, I could play like that for 3 hours straight and not get tired. Because I'm not pressing, I'm not exerting force into the string. I am being so heavy that my bow, it's almost like this. I am not touching the hair, full disclaimer. So it's almost like your weight, it's like your weight is pulling the bow. That's what your weight should do. We're not pushing on it like this. We're pulling from down below. So really, it should really sound that thick, that resonant, and that connected. So let's go a little faster. Sharp, I think. And the goal, I'm not using a ton of bow because when we go fast, you're not going to use a lot of bow. So you really want to keep the bow hair pretty concise. So as you speed up, it's a gradual change. If you do a ton of bow and then you're going to end up here, that's a lot of adjusting. We don't have time, everyone. So start with a smaller bow length. So... see it in the live stream. I hope you can see it on YouTube. If you look around here, you're going to see the stick and hair coming together. It looks like my bow is bouncing, but it's not. It's the stick only. My hair, the hair of the bow, is super gooey, like molasses glued into the string. Okay? So I promise I'm not bouncing. is too fast. We don't have time for that. So we're going to use the natural bouncing of the stick to get that kind of crisp. Right? Okay, same, regardless of what string you're on. Regardless of what string you're on, the method is the same. The C string, you will need the most bow arm weight because C string is the thickest string. You will, so if let's do... I'm not sure about that bowing, but it sounds more because the A string is more sensitive. And it's going to sound that way. The difference... You can hear the resonance and the glow of the sound when you're doing it correct. If I'm pressing... You can really hear the bow changes, and it sounds kind of, I can't think of the word. It just sounds kind of harsh. And again, listen to the bow changes if you're doing the exercise right. Nope, right there I missed one. Not quite. And the final step is to do a lot of it with the fingers. You don't want to be bowing like this. You don't want to do... It's not the same sound. Because again, the more you move the elbow, the more likely you are to come in and out with your bow arm weight, and then you have no consistency. So again, if the elbow is moving and swinging, you're not going to have consistent weight. You need that low elbow, and then the forearm and fingers are going to give you the direction and the bow changes. So yeah, that elbow gives you the consistent weight. All right, my dolls. So again, that's how I always practice all fast things. And I know I sped it up for the sake of the live stream, but you only speed it up when the tone is consistently crystal clear. And then you only bump it up a little bit, like maybe 5 BPM, maybe 10 BPM, maybe if you're starting really, really slow. But again, it will take me, let me see. If I have a piece that I've never played before, it will take me weeks, multiple, plural, to get it up to tempo. So, if you have a piece and you try to do it all within a week, it's not going to happen. Sorry. So it's really not. Unless you can afford to practice 5 hours a day, and it's the only thing you have to work on, and it's the only thing you have to do, and you've been playing for over 20 years, maybe. Yeah. So slow practices, pros got to do it, everyone's got to do it, and you need to allow for enough time to build up your tempo. Consistency is the most important. Fast and sloppy is not impressive. Consistent and speedy is impressive. All right, my dolls, I think that's a little wisdom nugget we can end on. Thank you all so much for joining the stream. I love the variety of questions you all bring and hearing what you're interested in. And yeah, I am so glad to see all of you. We get to hang out together, talk cello stuff, music stuff. Please, March is a very exciting month. There's a lot going on, so stay tuned. And again, very excited and always grateful to have people come to these streams and contribute. You all are awesome. I hope you have a great start to March. And Shelly and I will see you soon. And as always, happy practicing. Bye-bye.